Hey, what's up guys, Bajheera here. So this is going to be my first gym vlog since finally getting back to our house. As you guys probably know if you've been keeping up with the IRL videos, you know, we spent the beginning of this month at BlizzCon, had like a couple days at home, then flew out to MLG in Columbus, flew back to LA for one day, hung out with my parents that day, and then flew out to Utah for Thanksgiving with Jenny's family. And so all those trips were really productive, really fun, really enjoyable. However, it is different than being at home in terms of at least my workouts. A lot of times I was just working out at a hotel gym and just getting some exercise. But then when we were in Utah, I was able to go to a real gym. But even when we were going to that gym, it's like your actual workout schedule is kind of screwed up and you're not eating the same foods that you're used to, and so things just are a little bit different. But now we are back home and I'm doing my best to try to get back into the groove, as I like to call it, where you get into a nice steady rhythm with hitting the gym hard, recovering well, and being able to, make progress pretty much every day that you go to the gym. So this was my first real back day since getting back home. And I started off today with some rows. And now when I'm doing these rows, there's two real distinct ways that I tend to perform these rows. In both of them, I do try to bring my chest out quite a bit, but sometimes, as you'll see like here, I'm pulling with my upper back, and then I bring my elbows really, really low into my, almost into my hips, like I'm trying to drive my elbows into my hips while flaring my lats out, and that, for me, really hits the wide part of the lats. And then when I pull it a little bit higher up and try to squeeze with almost into my traps, try to squeeze them with my upper back. And now these exercises are designed to do one thing or another, but it's important for you guys to realize the way you perform the exercise matters. So whether I'm pulling whether I'm really trying to focus on pulling my shoulder blades together for that really high back contraction, or trying to drive my elbows almost into my hips for that low back contraction. I mean, both of those things are important. Both of those things are good, and they're both done with pretty much the same apparatus. I'm both just sitting here on this row machine cranking out these reps. And then the next thing I did was lat pull downs. These should be pretty familiar to you guys if you've seen my back videos. I like to do a lot of rowing, and a lot of pull down movements for my back exercises. So I'm really not cranking this particular back exercise too heavy, but it does behave in a very similar way to the rows. You can pull and squeeze really hard with your upper back, or you can almost have the little bar out in front of you and drive your elbows into your hips once again, but allow them to be out in front of you. So it's like you pull your either elbows really far, almost like as far as you can to the sides, and then pull and squeeze with your upper back as hard as you can, or you bring your elbows out in front of you and you pull your elbows almost into your hips. And now it'll do a very similar thing that the rows did. It'll work your upper back if you pull really, really far from the side, or it'll work your really wide lats if you pull, if your elbows out in front of you. And now, a lot of the discussion that takes place on back exercises are back exercises that are designed to, sorry, my phone's buzzing, the exercises that are designed to build width, which are like maybe the exercises where I'm talking about pulling into your hips. Those are the ones that feel like they're gonna build width for me. And then the ones where I'm really squeezing my shoulder blades together, those ones feel more like shoulder blades, high up. Those ones feel more like they're gonna be building thickness for me. So, and that's the idea with your back. You want to have a pretty wide back. You got to do a lot of those exercises that focus on those real wide lats, perhaps. And if you want to build a thicker back, you got to work on really squeezing that thick back muscle that you've got back there. So this is another exercise that'll do a little bit of both, just depending on how you actually perform it. For me, I feel this a lot in more of like the width department, right? Because I can feel it right under my arm, basically, right in that lat that sticks out. That's the muscle that I'm using to perform this. But when I start to get past about the halfway point, like about right there, that's when I really try to squeeze high up in my back, try to get that thickness activated. And like I've been talking about for a long time in these videos, being conscious and intentional about which muscles you're actually using during your lifts really matters. And you can get away with not using very heavy weight, but really still getting really, really good stretches and contractions to help you build that muscle. That being said, I am changing my diet up a little bit. I'm not eating so strictly. And I don't mean that as in like I'm eating crappy food. I mean like my calories aren't so low. I'm eating about 3,500 calories. And that is translating some days, some days more than others, into increased strength at the gym. So I'm able to do workouts that maybe a little bit more with a little bit more intensity, a little bit more aggression with my lifts, a little bit heavier weight, a little bit more explosive movements, and I like that. This particular day wasn't a day where I felt particularly strong or explosive, but I did feel like I got a pretty good back workout. And I think just from seeing my progress videos over time and sort of analyzing my physique, I think my back is one of those areas that's going to need a lot of work in this next sort of training phase. Over last winter, I put a ton of work into my legs, a lot of work into my shoulders, and I think that work definitely shows. But now I'm noticing, you know what? Maybe my back needs a little bit more love. So I'm going to be devoting a lot of attention to my back over this next, these next couple months or whatever. And one of the things that I want to do to help my back out is getting back to deadlifting. I've been sort of getting away from deadlifting a little bit. I haven't deadlifted in last time I deadlifted was before leaving for BlizzCon. And I really want to make sure that deadlifts continue to be a big part of my workout regimen, because I feel like they're responsible for a ton of, not only just back and even leg development, but just overall development. Deadlifts are such a good lift that they incorporate pretty much everything in your body, it feels like. You got to make sure your upper body is really not tight in a bad way, but tense. A solid platform for so that you can push your heels right through the ground, allow your legs to do that work, and then use your back and your arms and your neck to keep everything nice and in line and close to your body, so you're using good form and not hurting yourself. So, like I said, today's the first day I got back to deadlift, so I really didn't go all that heavy. There's a set of 275. I think I bumped that up to 315. Like I said, I wasn't feeling my absolute strongest, my absolute most powerful. So I used to do 315 for reps. Like I would do 6 by 6. Today, I just did one set of 4, and I was like, you know what, that's good. I haven't deadlifted in a long ass time. It's okay with me if I don't put too much strain on my lower back and allow myself to get back into a little bit of deadlifting form, because I think deadlifts are definitely one of my favorite exercises, and I need to find a way to keep them in my workout. So I think I decided to ladder back down a little bit, go to 275. Now, when I deadlift, the things I'm trying to focus on are keeping my core and my upper body really strong, really flexed, so that I can allow my legs and driving my heels through the ground to do most of the work. And that is something I actually have in mind. I try to imagine and envision myself driving my heels through the ground and allow that power to flow through the back of my legs and my hips, and really avoid any sort of pressure on my lower back by trying to keep my chest out and the bar really close into my body. A lot of times I'll end deadlift day with like, just cuts all up and down both of my shins. And although I do try to avoid that, the reason that happens is because I'm trying to pull the bar really close to my body, and I'm trying to make sure I keep my legs bent and use them for strength. So I don't want to straighten my legs at the bottom of the movement and then just try to crank it up there with my lower back and hamstrings. I want to use my hips to blast the bar off of the ground, and I want to drive through my heels while keeping my core and my upper body nice and tight in a good way. So at least that's how I try to deadlift, and it's been what's pretty effective for me. So one of the things I also want to do is whenever there's exercises that I don't really like all that much, they're exercises that I don't really feel like performing because they're tough or annoying to do, those are the ones I feel like I should probably do more of, because you're missing out on something by not doing those exercises. An example would be maybe lunges on my leg day, so perhaps I need to start incorporating lunges into my leg day, or the hip adductor and abductor machines. I don't really like those, but I think it'd be a helpful thing for me to do, so I'm going to try to start incorporating those on my leg day. And on my back day, I want to make sure I'm doing deadlifts, and I want to make sure I'm doing these, I was doing rows on the Smith machine before just to pack on a lot of weight, but I also want to make sure I'm doing good form rows, standing rows like this at the end of my deadlifts. Just when everything's tired, I want to try to do some lightweight, try to keep my form as good as I possibly can, and really crank out some reps for my upper back. So that's pretty much the extent of my back workout. Some of you guys are curious what I do for abs. Honestly, all I really do is crunches. I'll do crunches to the middle, both sides, and then I'll do some leg lifts with my legs about 90 degrees just to really work my lower abs. But that's my back workout for today. It was a pretty good one. Hope you guys enjoy watching these videos because I really enjoy posting them for you. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time. Peace!